Good afternoon and welcome to our third virtual town hall here in the town of Fort Macleod. My name is Lisa Gillingham and I am the interim CAO for the town. I will just turn it over to Brian Muha to do a land acknowledgement. Thank you.
In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, the Tsuut'ina and Nakota Nations, the Métis Nation, Region 3, and all the people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of Southern Alberta.
Thank you, Sergeant Muha. We are here today with our local bylaw officer and our R.C.M.P delegates to discuss current trends and issues within our community. We'll get right started with our bylaw officer and introductions to my far left.
Hello, my name is Wesley Noble. I'm the bylaw officer with the town of Fort Macleod.
Hello, my name is Constable Amanda Gruet. I'm a member here in Fort Macleod.
Hello, my name is Sergeant Brian Muha with the R.C.M.P. I'm the Detachment Commander of Fort Macleod.
Hi, I'm Inspector Ian Chartle. I'm the Operations Support Officer for the Southern Alberta District of the R.C.M.P.
Good afternoon, Staff Sergeant Chris Zanadine. I'm the District NCO Advisor for Southern Alberta, and I cover Fort Macleod.
Thank you, everyone. Everyone will be providing updates on their current goals and what their actions are right now. And we will actually start with Wes Noble to speak on bylaw enforcement and current issues within the town in his role.
Hey, so at the start of the year with unsightly properties, we had 26 total files that were between moderate and major concerns. Since then, we've had 21 closed, and we currently only have 5 active. And we hope to have 4 of those closed by early next spring. And that's all I really have for an update. Thank you.
When speaking to bylaw enforcement at the local level, we ask residents to please reach out to the administration office and let us know if there's any complaints. Specific complaints need to contain a little bit of information, including your name, address, and how we can contact you once those complaints are received by the town so that our officer can do a follow-up and look into it within more detail. So we appreciate our residents providing any information to us and assisting us with enforcement when necessary for any concerns that they may have. I'm now going to turn it over to Sergeant Brian Muha to discuss the R.C.M.P's annual performance plan and a few other items on their agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. I first want to start off by introducing our R.C.M.P. Eagle Feather that we have at the detachment now. There's an Eagle Feather protocol that's come into place for us. In Indigenous culture, the eagle is sacred because it flies highest to and closest to the Creator. It's a symbol of spirituality. It's used in many Indigenous ceremonies and traditional matters through North America. The eagle feather is an option that we can offer to victims or witnesses or to our police officers. When a person enters the detachment to provide a statement or to discuss any matter of importance, they can now be given 3 options. One is to swear on the Bible, one is to affirm, and the third now is to affirm with the eagle feather. The eagle feather can be used by all citizens and is offered as a comfort for people when they interact with our staff at the detachment. This eagle feather, which I now hold, was cleansed in a smudging ceremony and blessed locally by a spiritual elder, Joe Eagletail Feathers. The stem of this feather was also beaded locally, and the colors hold several points of significance. The beading was done by Sherry Daychief. Should anyone wish to use the eagle feather, it would be held by that person while providing their evidence or statement. So again, I just want to let everybody know that this is here and it's available at our detachment for your use. And should anybody here at this meeting want to use it, I will pass it over. So that's that one. Moving on to our annual performance plan. So for people who don't know what that is, the annual performance plan provides priorities for policing at the Fort Macleod detachment and at every other detachment in Alberta, and is developed jointly by the Fort Macleod detachment, our local municipalities, which include Fort Macleod, and the MD of Willow Creek, our Crime Prevention Action Committee, and our critical citizen-led groups such as Citizens on Patrol and the Rural Crime Watch. Our priorities for the Fort Macleod Detachment for this year have been enhanced community engagement and consultation, crime reduction for drugs and property crimes, increased clearance rates for property crimes, specifically B&E events and theft under 5,000 events, offender management program, a police tip of the month program, and enhanced road safety enforcement and check stops. Overall, the number one priority for K Division is the safety and security of the public and of our officers. So we just want to make sure that people know that. So how do we come about making these decisions as to what our priorities are? Well, meetings like this, for example, are the beginning of that. So the town halls, the engagements with our CPAC or crime prevention group, talking to our COP members, talking to our Rural Crime Watch members, and generally the citizens at large. Any idea that comes forward are important to us. We last year sent out a survey for the public, and it came back with all kinds of great ideas and great thoughts on what was going on in the town of Fort Macleod and its surroundings, and it's very, very much appreciated. If we could switch to the crime gauge. So this is our most current and up-to-date crime gauge. Generally speaking, from the year 2020 to the year 2021, our crime issues have gone down by fairly significant stretches, which tells you that in 2019, 2020, I can tell you that we were quite busy. Our statistics were high in a lot of categories, and this has started to change and come down a little bit. And so, yeah, the person's crimes are decreased by 33% for those who maybe can't see that. The property crimes are down by 15%. Another criminal code is down by 33%. So with all of the things and all of the ideas that have been enacted throughout our R.C.M.P world, province-wide, all the way from K Division down through district, which is in Calgary, right to the detachment level, they seem to be working for us here. The break and enters are down by 37%. We have a little bit of an increase in theft of motor vehicles and a decrease in theft under $5,000. So I think we're doing a better job, but there's more to be done. And I think the public has really done a good job here in town helping us identify issues and calling in the complaints and the suspicious vehicles and not just letting them go. The more we know, the more we can act on, the more we can direct our law enforcement efforts towards dealing with those specific issues. So thank you very much for that. From a district and divisional perspective, we have many new crime prevention and crime reduction initiatives in place, and they've been kind of rolled out over the last 2 to 3 years. And they include the crime reduction unit, which is out of Airdrie, our integrated traffic unit out of Lethbridge, our integrated drug unit out of Lethbridge, major crimes investigators. We've had 2 significant files here in town over the summer, which ended up in homicide investigations, and without those assets and coming from above us, we wouldn't be able to investigate those as well. Our forensic identification, our emergency response team, our dog unit, and then our special shout out goes out to our intelligence units and our analytical teams, because the information they provide us is second to none on trends and the high risk issues that are going on in our community. I want to go on now. There's what's the next slide there? Yeah, community-based policing. So we really want to enforce or let people know that our communities must have a voice in providing priorities for our policing. We are seeking to improve on our accountability and our transparency to the communities through our town hall meetings such as this one. This provides a forum for members of the public to engage and ask questions of their local R.C.M.P. and detachment commander, which is myself. Our reporting to our municipal governments is changing. They include more information on finances, crime trends, staffing vacancies, updates on annual performance plans, community engagement, and community safety issues. And so the whole communication piece for everybody, we're really, really ramping up, and it's become probably one of the biggest priorities for us here in Alberta for policing. Yeah, and so other such engagements with the community, again, including the town hall meetings, is our Crime Prevention Action Committee, our Safe Communities Task Force, which involves the R.C.M.P., the town of Fort Macleod and bylaw, the SCAN unit out of Calgary, which has been very, very, very helpful for us in town, Alberta Health Services, and our housing representative. Citizens on Patrol and Rural Crime Watch are also really strong partners in town here. That is pretty much all I have for Fort Macleod, but I do want to, before we move on to anything else, I do want to open it up maybe to Inspector Chardlow or Staff Sergeant Zanadine if they have anything to add to that. Otherwise, if we could go into a Q&A, just to give people an opportunity to see what questions we might have out there at this point. Sir?
No, I thought you did that an excellent job there. You know, the crime trends that we're seeing in Fort Macleod are actually exceeding even what we're seeing in southern Alberta, but even beyond kind of the trends that we're seeing throughout the province. Total crime throughout the entire province is only down about 10%, which means 3% decrease in persons crime, a 14% decrease in property crime, and a 12% decrease in other criminal codes. So there certainly could be matters in amongst there that have slight increases, but overall the trend throughout the province is down. And as Sergeant Muha's statistics show, you know, Fort Macleod has seen some, you know, greater percentage reductions than even that we've seen there. I know the detachment here has been heavily involved with the crime reduction unit, and as Brian mentioned, the SCAN unit. Resources that were maybe not as effectively or as efficiently used in the past by a lot of our detachments, but because of the crime reduction strategy that's really been led out from division and spread out to the detachments throughout the province, it's allowed us to capture the statistics and all the data. We've been very good at creating documents, but we haven't been very good at translating those into actionable police actions, and that has really changed over the last year or two, and we're starting to see the fruits of those labors. So, you know, when we talk about what that looks like, targeting prolific offenders, we know that 10% of the population creates or commits about 60% of the crime. So focusing the efforts that we have on those particular individuals has paid huge dividends to us. As well as, you know, targeting hotspots. So we know that there are places that simply attract criminal activity, and by providing opportunities for the owners of those residences or businesses to look at options that they have available to them and target harden them, and then provide supports from a policing aspect, we've deterred a lot of crime even before it's actually committed. So I know Brian and the whole team here have done an awesome job, and like he said, you know, they have been a very busy detachment and still continue to be, but the fruits of their labors are really starting to pay off over the last little while, and we're going to continue to support those as we move forward. And yeah, that's largely good.
Great, thank you, sir. Miranda, if we could just go back in the presentation a couple of pages, I think. We'll turn it over now to Constable Gruette. We have a presentation on opioids. We were going to mix in a presentation on methamphetamine, however, it's ended up going to be quite lengthy. So I think for our next town hall, we'll bring in the methamphetamine presentation and we'll stick to the opioids. The opioids right now and over the past 4 or 5 years have been critical issues in our community and on the Blood Nation and Piikani Nations with the overdoses and the abuse that's been going on. And so we felt that this one was a priority to get more information out to the public. And so I'll turn it over now to Constable Gruette and for you folks to listen. Was Miranda, just before we do, or were there any questions that have popped up for us? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant Muha. As you said, I'm going to do a presentation on opioids and fentanyl and how it's affecting our community that we're living in. So opioids, the purpose of opioids is to suppress pain that is experienced in the body and also to induce sleep. They are classified as narcotics. This is a significant part of the population that do suffer from the chronic pain and do live with long-term pain. The opioids can be used for, like I said, chronic pain, acute pain, short or intense, broken bones, long-term pain, persistent pain, surgeries, cancer, or cancer-related. They also can be used as to suppress a cough and treat severe diarrhea. Opiates in a community perspective can be either like Tylenol 3, Percocet, Oxycontin, gabapentin, cough syrup, hydromorphine, fentanyl. Basically, anything common from the pharmacy is going to be an opioid at some point. Some of the ways that opioids are being abused, that are being abused is by mouth, swallowing of a pill, crushing, snorting the pill, inhaling through a straw, the practice of chasing the dragon to process smoking the heroin, injecting through the veins, so IV injections, or dermal patches, so the patches that are seen on people's bodies, sometimes they could take them off and they can suck them and then they get their high from that. Some of the risk factors in congesting opioids or taking them, collapsed veins, which make it very hard for our EMTs, paramedics to get a vein, to get an IV in if there is an incident. Cotton fever, blood clots, organ damage, stomach problems, which can cause bleeding, ulcers, miscarriages have also been a risk. Sometimes they visit the hospital for prescription drugs, and sometimes transmitted diseases are also one of the risk factors. Some signs and symptoms from opioids can be constricting of the pupils, slow motor function, seizures, sleepy, slow respiratory depression, which is slow breathing, gurgling or snoring sounds, choking or throwing up. Obviously, not all these symptoms are present at the same time, but these are just some of the symptoms that can be seen when an opioid has been taken by someone. Blue lips or nails, also no movement, cold, and clammy skin. Again, these are just some of the symptoms that I could find, so there is possibly a lot more out there, but these are just some of the things that we've seen in town. We've noticed when I've been out in the community, I've been approached by some members of the community asking, like, what can we do if someone is overdosing? In 2017, the Good Samaritan law was brought in, and it's SOS, so support an overdose, stay and call 911. So Parliament also passed the Good Samaritan law, Drug Overdose Act. It's a private member's bill. It was again in May in 2017. This legislation provides some legal protection for individuals who seek emergency help during an overdose. I just want to touch on the fact that it says provides some legal protection. I couldn't fully get what they do protect, but we're just hoping that if there is an overdose, we want people to call us, call EMS, and hopefully it's to help encourage the people to make the call to save a life by reducing the fear of police attending an overdose events. Again, the community has brought forward that, they're too scared to call the police because, they might be associated with the overdose or arrested or whatnot. The Good Samaritan law does provide some protection. So just don't be scared to call if someone in your house is overdosing or outside of your house. I'm going to move now to fentanyl. It's another drug that we've noticed in our community that is present. I've provided, there's 3 photos there. So the one on the left is your pill form, The other one is a dermal patch. So again, that would be what you can use to suck to get high. And then the other form is a powder form. Fentanyl is a powerful synthetic opioid drug, which is approximately 80 to 100 times more powerful than morphine. It is commonly used legitimately as an anesthetic in hospitals, usually in the patch form. Each patch contains between 2.5 milligrams to 10 milligrams. So you can see where using that by sucking it can get a high on the streets. Fentanyl is commonly prescribed again as a patch or a pill or a lozenge, but like heroin, can be smoked, snorted, injected. It is very fast and soluble to the body. Usage trends are constantly changing as fentanyl is now being asked for by name when users are buying from dealers. No longer only tablets, but as a powder from dealers, white, pink, and purple. So they do come in multiple colors. The one on the bottom left is the powder form, and it's a mix of the white and pink, so it kind of gives you the tan color. And then the green is the newest one that we could find, and then it just shows like a lab that was made, that's been making the fentanyl. Some of fentanyl overdoses, some of the symptoms could be breathing is slow or not breathing at all. Nail beds and lips are blue. So again, like the opioids, it's very hard to differentiate between the two as they are so common with the symptoms. Choking or throwing up, making gurgling sounds, skin is cold and clammy, and you're unable to wake the person up. I've provided the overdose prevention from Alberta Health Services. It's on the bottom of the screen there of things to do when someone is ODing. It might be a little hard to call, but obviously the first thing is call 911. If you have a naloxone kit, which our pharmacies here do have, you can go in and ask. There's no questions asked for why you need them. And then basically there's a bunch of steps to follow. So if you do go to the Alberta Health Services page, there's a link there if this does happen. A lot of us carry cell phones. Take a screenshot of it if you are worried that you are going to come in contact with something like this in our community. The R.C.M.P continues to work closely with our policing partners, communities, and stakeholders to raise awareness on the impacts of the illicit synthetic fentanyl. Like I said, we're well aware what types of drugs are in the community right now. We've actually just, in the past couple of months, in partnership with the Piikani Blood Tribe Nation, there's been a new drug that's come out, and pardon me, but to pronounce this, I'm gonna guess flabrozolamin. I have no idea, but this is the newest drug that came out in June. It was sent off for testing, and this was actually in Brockett. So its presence has fentanyl and caffeine. The second one I can't pronounce either. I didn't go to medical school, so these words are out of my realm. It's again a newly encountered in Brockett in June of 2021, and this has been associated with a lot of overdoses and deaths on the reserve. I've provided, again, some of our community. Our community is a bit of an older community per se. Like our members are some are seniors and don't really understand how to contact or how to handle drugs that they may find out on the streets, needles, any paraphernalia, anything like that. The biggest thing that we're asking is gloves, masks, and if you can, get access to a Sharpie container. Again, the pharmacies do have them. I don't believe there's a fee for them, but if you find a Sharpie and it looks to be used, don't touch the end where the needle is, and you can dispose of the Sharpie into the Sharpie container. Just be very cautious of what you're touching. The mask is to help in case it is fentanyl or anything and it's in the air. But just be cautious when you're handling anything like that. You can give us a call or the EMS a call and we can assist if need be. But if you do come in contact with something like this, just be very cautious. The next one is if you come in contact with an actual physical drug. So marijuana, any opioids in the pill form or even in the powder form. This is actually from the US Food and Drugs, but it was linked through the Alberta Health Services. So if you find a pill form or a powder form, and you don't know what it is, immediately flush your medicine in the toilet. Scratch out all personal information on the bottle if this is yours. If it is something that's not yours and you are concerned, definitely give us a shout and we can come and help with disposal at that point as well. So it's just a bit of a little helper for the community on how to get rid of drugs that are found. The partnerships that I used for the slideshow, Alberta Health Services, a partnership for Drug Free Canada. There's some websites and some phone numbers there. If you do have any questions, reach out. Your local R.C.M.P detachments, such as Edmonton Police, Calgary Police, Lethbridge, Camrose, Medicine Hat, Lacombe, drugsfool.ca, and knowyoursource.ca. It's just some more outreaches in case we can't get to you or you're looking for answers that you need right away. And that's all I have. Thank you.
This is Sergeant Muha again. If I could just follow up with the presentation. Again, if you do find drugs out there, especially if they're in the needle form and you have any doubt whatsoever, you call our office and we'll come and deal with it ourselves. If you haven't any doubt, just give us a call and we'll come as soon as we can. So I'll turn it back over to Lisa. If there are any questions out there, Miranda, for us, and again, if any come over the next few weeks as this gets reviewed over and over, please ensure they come to me so that I can answer them. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. I'll just ask Staff Sergeant and Inspector if there's anything else that they'd like to add or have any other input for today's session. If not, thank you everyone for joining us today and to our panel for speaking. And just a reminder again to call any of those complaints into either the town office or the R.C.M.P when necessary. It helps matters move along when we have more ammunition to use. So we do appreciate our residents letting us know what's going on out there. We will be scheduling our next town hall for early in the new year, so please keep your eye out for any information. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you then.